Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, if you like this video and this type of content, and my channel as a whole, please subscribe, leave comments, all of that. I would really appreciate it, but let's get into this video. Today we're going to cover the latest episode of The Walking Dead. We're in the final countdown to the last episodes of Walking Dead, the original flagship series that started it all with all the spin-offs we got and all the spin-offs we're getting. So today we're going to cover the latest episode, Variant. Now, this one has been kind of a big episode as far as what people were expecting and what we got. And so there was a lot of excitement and everything leading up to it, including the part where Aaron talks about where he's heard stories of walkers that can climb walls, open doors, and everything. So everyone knew that scene was going to be in this episode. So they kind of expanded on a little, but I believe and I hope that there's a lot more that they plan on covering, because they just kind of dabbled into that particular stuff in this episode and then just kind of moved on with the episode. But this newest episode, it picks up right where the last one left off, where they're in the middle of the riot of the Commonwealth, right after that little prick Sebastian finally gets what he deserves and gets his throat eaten out by a walker.
Gotcha, bitch!
But this leaves Eugene and all our other Alexandria survivors kind of on the run. Eugene especially, because he was responsible for killing Sebastian. Kind of indirectly, he just kind of shoves the walker onto him because Sebastian tried to kill Max, Eugene's girlfriend. And so they are all on the run at this point. They're running and hiding. And also any Alexandrians that can be rounded up are being rounded up and questioned, because Pamela Milton, the governor of the Commonwealth, is out for blood at this point, because that was her last remaining family member, and he was essentially murdered out in the street. No one did anything to really prevent it. Well, because the guy was an asshole, nobody liked him, and he was responsible for the deaths of a lot of people in that community, so no one felt particularly inclined to really help him, so he basically got what he deserved. So the other kind of big thing was, we still don't really have an answer to this question either, because we know that the last half of the season left with Hornsby going to Oceanside and rounding them all, and we really don't know what happened to them. We don't know if he executed everybody or if he just rounded it up and told them this is how it's going to be from now on, or what happened. So we kind of pick up, and Aaron, Jerry, Lydia, Elijah, they're all on their way to Oceanfront to deliver supplies. And so we're waiting to see if they, what happens when they get there, what kind of condition Oceanside will be in. But for the time being, as they are on their way there, they take shelter in what looks like an old Renaissance fair. It's a castle layout with walls, so they thought they would be safe for the night. But it turns out they would not be safe at all. The variant walkers that were mentioned in the Comic-Con trailer do come up in this episode. It seems that, because we get a glimpse of one climbing a wall, kind of scaling it, and then next thing you know, the whole camp that they have set up is being invaded by a whole horde of walkers. So we don't know if they all came up over that wall, or one got in and opened a fucking door. So it is during this, during them trying to take out these walkers, that Lydia actually goes up against one, I believe, and it grabs her staff that she's using to try to take it out and tries to wrestle away from her, basically. So we see that whatever these variants are, they are retaining some sort of intelligence, or they're learning how to defend themselves a little bit more, whatever the case is. And so they're all basically being backed into this concession stand or whatever it is. And as they are trying to fight off this horde, they see that the doorknob to the area that they're in starts to turn, and Jerry freaks out and runs up and slams that door shut as the door starts to open. So they really don't understand what's happening. At first they think that there are whisperers within this horde. So they actually believe that for the first little bit. They all get up on the roof of this thing, and then we see another walker scale that wall to get up to the roof, reach down to pick up a rock. So here's my question, actually, that I wanted to dive in a little bit. Does the urge to bite, to kill, kind of get overlapped with just the urge to kill in general? So that's why this walker picks up this rock to bash in Jerry's head or whatever. And so it kind of leaves little questions here and there. It's kind of a callback to season 1, because we see that Walker way back in season 1 using a rock to smash open that storefront that Rick and everybody's hiding in while they're in Atlanta. So was that a variant, or just, we don't know if that was just something that happened and they just kind of moved away from it, and now they kind of have to kind of cover their tracks with these variants or whatever it is. Because we got first mention of these variants way back in Walking Dead World Beyond. We basically know that, from that clip from the World Beyond, that was the very last clip of that series, where that scientist basically admits that France is responsible for the outbreak and for making it worse, trying to make it better, trying to find a cure, whatever. So going back to this Walker up on this roof, we see that he picks up this rock, and immediately they think it's a whisper. They get him tackled to the ground and everything. And Aaron goes to rip off what he thinks is a mask, but it's just the Walker's skin. And he puts him out, and thankfully no one dies. Spoilers in this particular event. They survive the night, and that's when the next morning is when Aaron talks about he's heard stories of walkers that can climb walls and open doors. So being the scout that he was for Alexandria, it's very possible that he heard these stories, with the different people that he probably came across from all different regions surrounding Virginia and Georgia and all of that. But getting back to the episode, it closes out with Max ending up getting herself captured by the Commonwealth military for questioning for her role in Sebastian's death and the recording that was playing, because we all know that was secretly recorded by her. But after she gets herself captured, we don't see her again in this episode. And then Eugene gets word that she has been captured and that she could see some of the blame for this. And being who he was and how much he cares for her, he turns himself in and basically takes the blame for the entire thing. He says that the recording was his. He says that he chose to play it during all this. And so taking all heat away from Max and any part of it, because Max is also, as we know, Mercer's little sister. So he's going to do what he can to protect her. And also, I'm sure Mercer is also very thankful for this. And so he takes all the heat, all the blame. He's in custody, so we don't know what's going to happen yet. We don't know if the governor is going to be out for blood and just execute him or actually give him a trial, but we'll see. And then after all of that takes place, we do get a cliffhanger ending. So it leaves kind of someone's fate in question and what's really happening. Rosita is in the process of leaving the Commonwealth. She's getting her stuff packed, and then she is jumped by 2 people that have entered her apartment, and then a bag is placed over her head after a brief struggle. So we're left with the question, what happened to her? Are the rest of the Alexandrians being rounded up for a trial, or what's exactly going to happen? We're not sure. I guess the final question regarding the variants: has the virus that we carry change, and so do new walkers retain some sort of intelligence? Do they retain the ability to learn, or can an existing walker that's been dead for months at this point, does the virus inside them do any of that? Can they learn? Do they retain parts of who they were so they know how to open doors and all that shit? So there's a lot of questions that come with these variants that we're waiting for answers on. Maybe they'll just dabble into it with the end of this show, and maybe they'll get into more of it with Daryl's spinoff, because it's supposed to take place over in France. Still not a lot of details about that. Still a lot of people not particularly happy about how that's happening, because even Norman Reedus himself says that Daryl ends up in France not on his own free will. He just ends up there. He's put there, so hopefully they come up with a decent story of why he's there. But anyways, guys, with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of this last week's episode. If you enjoyed it and you enjoyed this content and you enjoy my channel in general, please leave comments, please leave thumbs up. And if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. So until next time, guys, I will see you later. Bye.